Bob, it's fab to be in your garden. I've visited many times and we've recorded. I think of you as being the sort of, you put organic gardening on the map. You and King Charles, between you, I think you've done a pretty good job. And when I first started on Gardener's Question Time, 1990s or whatever, and you'd been on 4 or so years before, you brought the organic movement to the audience of 2 million listeners a week. And you really have done a good job, haven't you?
Well, not me alone. I mean, Prince Charles really was the one who broke them. See, the thing is, it's always been there. It's been going on since the Second World War, when Lady Eve Balfour founded the Soil Association. People have been aware. What has happened, though, is it's been a slow trickle of information. What it was people always had this idea that organic was going to be difficult. No, gardening is difficult. Growing things is work. You have jobs to do. People would say, oh, I don't want to go organic because I want to use the chemicals because they save so much labour. Yeah, tell me something that you can spray that goes out and cuts the lawn. Show me something you can spray that cuts the hedge for you. Show me something that plants the cabbages. No, gardening is all about doing things. The organic method was a better way of doing it without relying on crutches that were causing other problems. And this is what we'd seen. When Liebig invented the soluble fertilisers back in the Victorian period, it was only a couple of years before Punch did a critical poem about it called A Country Carol, saying what a huge load of problems it was going to be building up if we kept using all these chemicals on the crops. And it's been shown to exactly so. People have become greener because we're all worried about what's happening to our planet, and our gardens is the place to start. There's no need to use chemicals in the garden. Yeah, it's all provided by nature.
So, I mean, with the fertiliser business, I find that extraordinary because it sort of, they say put on 10, 10, 10, general purpose, but actually the plants use 3, 1, 2. I think 10, 10, 10 was just plucked from the sky. And now they know that when you put on artificial fertilisers, you change the whole microorganisms in the soil.
You get rid of the things that make fertility for
well,
free.
they don't know how.
Well, it's simple. No,
but they
no,
do their
let me explain
change.
It, Bunny. I make wine, okay? Wine stops fermenting when the alcohol poisons the yeast that makes it, right? It reaches a percentage, and that's it, it kills the yeast. If you put artificial fertiliser, nitrates, in the soil, then the concentration kills the nitrate-forming bacteria. Simple as that, just the same as with the yeast.
Well, I've had long discussions with Professor Lynn Boddy, who's been examining this at university level, microscope level, and she would disagree.
Do you know?
But we mustn't
let me
fight.
interrupt you here.
Yeah.
I have a wonderful book from the Victorian period. Why do we do experiments in the microscope and the laboratory? To remove the vicissitudes of nature. Those are the things that are making it interesting. It's the vicissitudes we need to find out about. We know about the stuff that we can do in the laboratory and the test tube. That's a completely different place. This is an ecosystem.
No, but she also does it in the field. It's in
enough.
literature too. But I won't. Bob and I are known for arguing on Gardener's Question Time.
We dispute.
We dispute. You say we're like an old married couple because we are coming from it from diametrically opposite angles in a way. We're both passionate about gardening. We both love it. I've done it ever since I've left school pretty much and worked in it for 50 odd years. And I am pretty organic, but I have to say I still use a bit of glyphosate. That's my main thing, but I have my PA1 and my PA6, which are the spray things. I use it wisely. I might use a pint a year. And I think if I'm fighting things like bindweed, I think it helps me.
I live with my bindweed, and the
I
bees
don't want
love
to.
it.
I don't want to. But that's what I like about gardening. You can garden how you like. And I think as long as we're not on the streets burning up fuel and spending money, I think we're helping the planet. So you do it your way, I do it my way.
Say, do your garden. Go out and work in your garden. You'll be so tired you can't afford to go out and spend any money.
And basically that's what CAT, Centre for Alternative Technology, that's the way they say if you want to be the best carbon footprint for your garden is just spend time in the garden rather than burning money. So, but anyway, these are your vegetables. So how many what's your size of your veg garden here?
I have 40 plots, each one is 5 foot across.
So this is 5 foot this way.
Yep.
By
15 foot long.
50, you're longer then, so you're 5 meters long. Yeah,
not quite, 4 metres.
4
really.
metres long. So and they're rather like my raised beds, except yours are fixed beds.
Yep. If you think about it, with 40 beds, to put sides around them would cost me an arm and a leg in materials.
Yeah.
I noticed that wherever you use sides to a bed, you get slugs and slaters and things down the sides. This is just
Wood lice,
wood
Slater's wood
lice.
lice.
No, yes.
Yes.
This is just basically the natural slump. So the
Yeah.
paths were dug out and thrown onto the beds, and now I walk on the paths, never on the beds. There's a natural slump, so it's a curve. The top isn't actually flat. Yeah, it's almost flat, but there's a slight curve to it, and that keeps the beds separate. So and I can walk between them. Got the space. I don't have to walk on them. So although I initially did, there's 40 beds, and this bottom 12 were done in different ways initially. But other than that, I have never dug them over in the 40 years I've been here. I dig out potatoes. I'm not anti-dig, but the potatoes come round every 4th year. So that's effectively a digging every 4th year, which is really good for removing the tree roots which come in from the edge, the ants' nests, break up the odd mole run. But I do no regular dig. It's a no-dig method.
I think everyone agrees now, don't they? I think we all think that why did we ever dig? It's
Well, it was
disruptive.
Because, no, it was because did you know they used to do the herbaceous borders as well?
Oh God, yes, my mother used to.
Yeah, dig them
yeah.
over and
yeah.
learning all the root system.
Yeah.
It was just because it was actually I think it was
Kept
all,
them off the streets.
Yeah, little Johnny's mum's sick, and there's nothing else to do right through the middle of January, so we'll have him digging over the vegetable bed. I think that was a lot of it, was keep the workers employed.
Yeah.
It's like all those brick walls you see around, the great estates here.
Oh,
In
I love them. I
But
love them.
It was
Yeah.
cheaper to have them make bricks and build a wall than just pay them to sit at home.
Also, I think, temperature changing and things like that, the microclimates from those are fantastic. But I agree with you in one sense with the raised beds. You certainly do get a few slugs around the edge, not so much. But I think more important is it's drier because it's raised up. You don't get the root. Whereas your plants, their roots will go out under the path. Mine, they will stop at the raised edge. So in times of drought, I really mulch mine heavily.
And drought is my biggest problem here.
And me, I bet you and I have similar rainfalls. We're
I think I have
desert,
less.
basically.
No, I have even less. This is, if you look at the map, what it is that you get different effects. You get the coastal effect coming in, and you also get the fact that we're far to the east. We're very similar, but I'll bet you I've got less than you.
But I bet you we were the driest place in the country one year. So some years you might be wetter, some years I might be. Can we compromise on that one, Bob? You are not always the driest,
always, but damn close
some...
to it, yeah. Damn close. And that's one reason I've gone in for, I use geotextiles a lot. As soon as the crops are removed, and there's a green manure goes on. Usually, I'm using my own now. I don't use the green manures that are sold, tares, vetches, clovers, ryegrass. Why? Think of 4 things that are really hard to dig in. Clovers, tares, vetches. I use borage, which is killed by the first frost. I use claytonia, which only grows in the winter. I use corn salad, because I can also eat that. I also use a lot of the native plants as weeds, particularly fat hen, because chickens also love to eat that, so I let that go. And then about November, December, I put the geotextiles down, and these are just woven plastic. I don't like them, but they work. I've got
something like, not Tara, what's it called? Mypex.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, Mypex.
I've tried different things. I used old carpets initially because they were available. What I do though is that kills everything underneath it and incorporates it. If I've got any muck or compost to go on, that will go on. And then when I come to March, April, I take it back. There's very few things to get rid of, a couple of nettles or a dock maybe, but I'm straight into clean soil. I then use strips of carpet. I would like to have a natural carpet or organic, but obviously I'm using whatever I can lay my hands on. Between the plants, but keep the moisture in. The loss of moisture, particularly early in the year, is really a big problem for me. I also found, of course, it keeps the weeds down, and where do the slugs hide? Underneath the carpet. So it's wonderful. Carpet strips go down before the plants go in, they're lifted up, slugs got rid of, plants go in, and then every so often a slug attack. Right now we're in the middle of a long drought period, it's as dry as heck. I keep the carpets down. It will mean that if there's a light rain, they will take it. But if there's a decent rain, it goes straight through and re-wets the soil.
Quite a bit of slug damage on your onions, isn't there?
Yeah,
Amazing.
I would say this year has been the best. I reckon that we've had more of the big red ones, the rufous ones, than I've ever seen. And I reckon I've taken a whole pig off this garden in weight of slugs, or at least a piglet. Sheer quantity, unbelievable. But that's nature. most years I don't have that sort of number, and not those red ones. I don't know why they've had such a sudden boom.
Just you get these fluctuations in different
Yeah.
populations. But what I've never understood the point of green manures because of the digging, and I wouldn't dig it in.
Yeah.
And I keep my veg garden covered all through the year. So as soon as the summer crops come up, like brassicas or whatever goes in, so I've always got something growing. I think that's the important thing,
Well,
isn't it?
yes,
I want to be
no, it's-
productive 100%.
Yeah, but I want the least work. And if I let it go with a green manure or a weed crop through the winter, it's hard work starting. My start is beautiful. I've got lovely clean soil to start with, and then I grow, as I say, green manures to put my soil here it's very, very thin, very thin. I would import muck if I could get a decent source of it, but there isn't any one organic.
Well, what about, do you see, I get the tree surgeons to drop me off the finely shredded wood chip, the ray meal, and I love it.
I can get it, but I have to pay a lot for it.
Oh, mine do it free.
Don't forget, I mean, there's not many people in this area, you know.
Tree surgeons, yeah.
Yeah, there is one. No,
yeah.
he comes to help me with my hedge because I hate going up steps and working on my own. So
I do think I don't use all my own compost because there are weeds in it, and I hate weeds. I like to have a weed-free
no,
system.
I like the weeds.
I don't, you see.
No, you see the
I don't
weeds.
mind borage, but I wouldn't let things like milk thistle
But-
seed.
well, you see
I'd
that-
see that, and it makes me feel
Yeah, but
juddery.
the chickens will eat that, you see.
Well, mine don't. Mine don't. The seeds are all flying around. But
But
anyway.
no, if you don't have weed seeds, you won't have weeds, and I want the cover.
Right.
Oh,
No, I don't like that. But we always disagree, Bob.
Oh,
we
yeah,
always
oh, yeah.
disagree.
But,
But you've got a nice crop of sweet corn.
Yeah, the
You've got
onions weren't
lots
too
of
bad.
marigolds.
The
Squash, yes.
squash have been hard this year. It's been cold.
Yeah, they're slow
tomatoes,
to take off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a wonderful thing though. Farmers have 4 crops, they go broke if one fails. Gardeners, we've got 40 crops. If we look at the ones that fail, we'd be miserable. If we look at the ones that succeed, we're happy. So, just look at the ones that succeed.
But just a bit about your general garden here. So you've got your car tyre shed there.
Yeah.
So that you reckon is your cheapest form of building.
One of the things is why we throw them away. I've used car tyres over the years. People say, oh, but the pollution, 7 tonnes of rubber dust falls on London every day. That's dangerous. A car tyre is just annoying aesthetically. It doesn't do much. Stack them up, you've got I made a semicircular wall, put a roof on top of it, and it's a garden shed for my tools. It does the job, and it didn't cost a penny.
And you are known for your recycling. So what else have we got
Well,
recycled
if you look
here?
there, the peas are actually growing on a stainless steel fence that was the chocolate conveyor belt when it was a chocolate factory in Norwich, and I bought that as scrap, and that's done 40 years, and it's not rusted away. It's perfect, absolutely wonderful.
And your deep freezers, your
The deep
storages,
freezers
you
are
use
the
those
deep
for
chest
storage.
freezers. Well, also they make wonderful water butts. Throw away
Yeah.
the lid, you've got a perfect water butt. You've
Yeah.
got an apple store, a potato store. Flat, did you notice as we walked through the polytunnel, the paths are flat radiators?
Yeah.
Again,
Saw that.
when they were new, they were white and they threw up light. Now they're worn, they're not throwing up the light, but perfect standing and again, thrown away. I use the plastic bottle cloches, but not with the top. Most people cut the bottom off, and then
Yep.
they get too hot.
Yes.
I cut the top and the bottom off, so it's just a cylinder of plastic.
So
It
it's
does
for stopping the wind
stops
around
the wind,
it.
stops the slugs,
Yeah.
and the plants can then grow up out of it, and they don't need to be. When you take a bottle cloche off, there's a check because it's suddenly gone from sheltered to not. If you grow them with a tube,
Yeah.
there's no check.
Yeah.
It's much, to my mind, it's a better way of doing it.
Yeah. So this garden, you've got 3/4 of an acre here. We've got the lovely vegetable patch here. You've got your double skin polytunnel, which we'll go into a second. What are the main features? You've got vines everywhere.
Vines
You're a big
everywhere. I
vine
planted
boy.
40, and I would not plant 38 of them again,
Yeah.
but I had to find out.
Yeah.
And I found out which ones were good and which ones aren't. I've got a nut corner over here.
Yes.
Because I rearranged this. This bed is rectangular, but it's arranged so that the beds run with the sun, which gave me a triangular corner on 2 sides. And
Yes.
so that's full of hazel, field, cob nuts, and some.
And the squirrels eat them or you eat them?
No, I've got a lot of cats visiting the garden.
And the cats eat the squirrels?
No, they scare the squirrels. That's all that's needed. They don't hang around. And I put catnip underneath the nut trees. So the cats, all the village cats come here, and I feed a lot of them in my barn as well because there's a lot of
And they
strays.
don't come and
Of course they
pee
do.
in here and
No,
stuff,
I
and you
mind
don't
that.
worry?
I don't worry about that.
Right,
And
okay.
they don't kill a lot of birds. Cats do kill some birds,
Yeah.
but they don't kill that many. They're lazy swine. And most of the time, they're just sitting around in the catnip, keeping the squirrels away for me. It's absolutely perfect. And I've got a walnut tree there. which gives me a huge
Oh,
quantity.
that's big.
It is. I know
Yeah.
I wouldn't have put it there if I'd realised how big it would be in my lifetime. I thought it wouldn't be that
They're
big.
fast growers,
Aren't
very
they?
fast, even on very poor
I
dry
get a
soil.
dustbin full of walnuts every year from it.
Do you do pickled walnuts?
No, I don't like them.
We've done pickled walnuts
I've
this
done
year.
them. Have you done the juice as well with wine?
No.
You like pickling them, but you put them in. You put the pin through them, and then you put them in red wine.
Yes.
And then after 3 months, you decant it, add sugar and brandy. That I prefer.
God, that sounds like rocket fuel.
Yeah.
Sugar, and what does it taste like?
Walnuts. Walnut liqueur is really rather nice.
Really?
Yeah.
And what stage do you pick them at?
When you can still put a pin through them, same as for pickling.
Oh, so like July?
Yeah. Well,
Very,
really
when they're
good.
green,
Yeah.
very green
I don't
and
know.
soft.
I like them. And that's a Franquette, one of the commonest in the world. But it's
Yeah.
actually one from Rivers Nursery when they closed in Sawbridgeworth.
Yes.
So it's quite an early one. And you can actually crush the nuts in your hand. If you put 3 nuts in your hand, you can squeeze them and crack them.
Is that because of the state you're picking them at?
No.
Because I think they become harder, don't they, as they become drier?
No, it's the variety.
It's not just that you've got really strong
Well, I've
hands.
probably got really strong hands
Oh,
as well.
oh,
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah.
Okay,
Can
so
I just point out one other thing?
yeah,
If you look at this, the borage, I've
Yes.
always used borage a lot as a green manure, but if you look, you'll see that some of the flowers, on any borage, as they get old, go pink. And I realised that there was pinkness in them.
there's a pink one.
Yeah. Well,
We
that's
see
only
the
pink
pink
around
one?
the edges. But what I've been doing is, over the years, I've been taking out the all blue, leaving only the ones with any pinkness. And now I've got some, most of which have gone over, where maybe half the flowers were pink. Given another 5 years, I reckon I'll have an all pink borage, which would be great for pink pims.
Borage Bob.
Yeah.
That'd be
Well, I did think that, I love vegetables and flowers, but flowers, there's another market there, there's another thing, and borage is such a useful plant.
I
It's
love
good
it.
for the
Yeah, I
bees.
love it. Yeah, it's
Did
really
you know
nice.
it's got very high nitrogen content? If you want fertility, make borage liquid, not comfrey liquid.
And
Much richer.
also, doesn't it? It's a very good pollinator because its flowers keep on producing. Is it nectar and pollen? It's got
Yeah,
a
look at
very
the bee.
long period.
Look, we have bees. Nowhere
Yeah.
else in the garden are there any bees at the moment.
Yeah, but it's very good pollinator. It produces a lot of nectar even when the flowers have been pollinated. I think I'm right in saying there's something about it
It's
like
excellent.
that. And
the
it's so pretty.
fertility. There was a Scottish doctor who discovered that it's got the highest nitrate content of almost any plant. That's why you use it in pims, because it has a cooling effect. And then I discovered that they used to make tinder and matchlock slow burning fuses out of borage leaves because they burn slowly because of the nitrogen content. You take the flowers off so you get bigger leaves,
Yeah.
and then you dry them and you've got a tinder. Again, the nitrate content. So by growing it as a green manure, you get more nitrogen, which is one of the things that's always a bit short, in any garden. It's good for the bees. I just think it's an absolutely wonderful plant. And a pink one, as you can see, as you look, there's already a pinkishness overall. Any field will have some in, but it was also just to show. One of the things we always say, you can do your own. I've bred strawberries deliberately by just crossing them, but just by selection. Over 5 years, we've now got where maybe half the plants have more pink flowers. Doesn't take long.
No,
You know,
no.
And this is one of the things that anyone can do. Choose a plant, your favourite, and start breeding it yourself, either by selection or deliberately by cross-pollinating. That awful Himalayan balsam that's blocking all our
Yes.
rivers and so on, with the policeman's helmet.
Pernicious weed,
And there's
notifiable.
Right, and there's also a little tiny one, Timina tangi, which has yellow flowers, and it's tiny, it's only 4 inches. For years I've been trying to cross the two of them to make a more garden-worthy, middle-sized one that wasn't quite so invasive. But do you see what I mean? We've two, got a yellow one and a giant purple. If you just, the cross could be really quite interesting. This is the thing, all these things you can do it at home, you don't need a huge laboratory. Just, notebook, paintbrush.
I'm trying with Iris foetidissima. I mean,
Oh,
it
yes.
grows everywhere,
Isn't it?
anywhere in dry positions, shade. And it's the dirty yellow flower, but I've got
Yeah.
a nice blue one on one of mine. And so I think I'm selecting the seeds of that. I'm trying to create a more attractive, better coloured Iris foetidissima. Right, let's go and have a look at your polytunnel. So Bob, these are your strawberries. Tell me what you're doing here.
Well, the idea is that I love strawberries. I want more strawberries through more of the year. If you have a strawberry bed, it's a lot of work, a lot of weeding, and you've got to keep on top of it. And then after 3 years, you've got to start another one.
So you get a small crop the first year, you get a good crop the second year, and the third year it starts to wane, and you're meant to take the runners off and start again just in case.
I did a trial. I put 24 varieties in the cage behind me here, and then grew them on for 5 or 6 years. In the 4th year, there were 1 or 2 were giving a crop, but miserable. In the 5th year, only Maxim had any fruit worth having on the original plants. They're not worth keeping. So what I went over to is growing them in tubs, where basically after the 3rd you throw it away and start another one. It's easier to do that psychologically, but more than that, I can take them inside. So they all sit out here, and then when the flowers come, they're taken into the polytunnel for cropping. Keeps the birds off, keeps the slugs off. Plus, by taking them in earlier to flowers, I take some in February, I'm eating strawberries in April. I've had them by my birthday, the last day of April, most years. I'm now eating strawberries from the autumn croppers. Again, taken inside to fruit. As soon as they're fruited, they come back out here.
So how often do you water these? Oh God,
Every
it's
day.
oh my God, Bob, why don't you use capillary matting?
Well, because I don't trust it. I've used it and I don't trust it.
Oh, I love it. It reduces my watering so much.
Yeah, but I do a lot of... I've got 3 hours of watering every day anyway.
But you could cut that down, I reckon,
Yeah,
by
I
a
know
good
I
hour.
could do, but I like the watering. It's one of the few jobs I enjoy doing.
Let's go look in your polytunnel.
Yeah, yeah.
Bob, this is your compost.
Yeah. My favourite area of the garden. This is the engine room.
Yeah.
So I work on a 3-bin system. One there which is being used, one here which is just being finished, and I'm about to start the 3rd one in another corner of the garden.
So each one would be 3 metres by 3 metres by 1.4?
8 pallets.
8 pallets.
An
yeah.
8 pallet, not
Yeah.
an octo bin.
Yes.
Basically, the bigger they are, the more they heat up, and the less you don't have to turn. If it's a smaller bin, you have to turn.
Well, they say even in a small, it doesn't make
No,
sense
it's
to
time.
turn on the results.
But-
It doesn't make a difference, they
Have a
reckon.
look. This is I'm really into sieving compost. People don't tend to think about this, but I've got a screen that fits over a wheelbarrow. The stuff comes out, it's sieved. I pick out any bits of plastic or nasties, stones, stones are valuable around here. I need stones, so I collect those.
Yep.
Bones, because
They're all in here. You
No,
see, the love
no,
that's
no,
all
no,
sieved out. Is that
no.
sieved out?
that's the stuff that's been filtered out.
Yeah.
This
so I
is
was
the stuff
saying.
that's going to use.
Yeah.
I pick out the stones, and the plastic. So this stuff is just bits that haven't composted, and those
We'll go back in.
go into to inoculate the next heap. People
Yeah.
don't think about this, but if you just make a heap, it's slow. Put in some stuff from a heap that's already going. Boom! It goes just like that.
And you pee on it.
And no, I can't pee up onto it. I have to pee into a bucket and throw it on it because
Yeah.
I can't go 5
Can't
foot
you,
under.
Bob? Can't you? I'm disappointed.
When I was at school, I could hit. Do you remember we used to have those flushing toilets that
Yeah.
had the cistern up about head height? I used to be able to hit the bottom of the toilet.
Oh, Bob.
Yeah.
Oh, Bob, those were the days.
Those were the
So
days.
how old is that?
This would be 3 years.
3 years.
It
Okay.
takes roughly a year to fill a bin, and then it sits over the next 2 years. The first thing I do is, of course, I have squashes, pumpkins, and so on the first year when there's a lot of heat.
Yeah.
And then potatoes. And this year, it looks like there's a lot of borage on. It's the pink.
It
one again. Look
does.
at the pink.
Yeah.
See what I mean about the number
The
of pink
pink,
flowers
yeah.
that are coming? It's really. But I've also got tomatoes cascading down the edge because it's a wonderful pile of material.
Yeah. I mean, I put my compost heap in the greenhouse one year to generate heat over winter, which worked quite well, but it's hard work.
It
Keep
doesn't give
adding
enough.
stuff.
I tried.
If you don't keep adding the green, it doesn't keep moving.
Put them into oil drums, and then you can roll them in, roll them out.
Oh, I can't because mine's sunken because I'm trying to conserve the heat
I
because I don't want to pay for
I
electricity
see one
to
of the
heat
things
it.
that we really ought to do is breed an arum, because you know the arums give off heat from the spade.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, they give off quite a lot. Is to breed can you imagine having a whole load of perennially flowering arums under your bench? It'd be marvellous, giving off warmth all the time. That's what we should be going towards.
I'll look that one up. I'm not sure if I believe you.
Do you
Show
know,
me your
no, something
polytunnel. Okay, Bob. So this is your famous double polytunnel. So you've got the big outdoor one.
Yeah, which is like most people would have, and it's great. Here I've got tomatoes behind me. I've got strawberries. These are late autumn strawberries, brought inside. As soon as the flowers come, they're brought in so the birds don't get them. And as soon
Right.
as they're finished, they go out.
Lovely big
Got
strawberries.
peppers, not a heavy crop this year. Small plants, they were very slow to get on.
Yeah.
But they'll be fine until about October. The out of polytunnel doesn't keep the cold out, so nothing out here survives really easily.
But
that's
it's
why-
still in my single skin polytunnel. I still get massively earlier crops.
Oh, yeah.
Huge benefit. It
Huge.
is like gardening in the south of France.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. And then in your inner one with
Inner
the
one,
double skin,
That's where it was really, it's not for growing things in the summer, it's for getting things
through the winter.
winter.
So what would, without heat, what was your, well, last year was very warm in the winter.
Yeah.
So in a coldest year, what would you get down to in there? Because polythene doesn't actually keep out the frost.
No, but I put another, you can see bubble plastic goes over it in the winter. So
Yes.
you've got 2 layers of plastic and bubble plastic.
Right.
And that then, it won't keep out 3 days of below freezing temperatures.
Yeah.
It'll keep out an overnight frost, all right? But of course the next day if it's cold. So there's no actual heating in there all the time. There is a soil warming cable underneath the pineapple pit,
Yeah.
but isn't on.
Yeah.
But what I will do, and I had emergency backup fan heater for when the temperature did drop. Unfortunately, it didn't work, and thus I lost a lot of things. It doesn't bother me because I start again, because what I'm trying to do is find out what will survive without heat. And I found that the things that have survived in the inner polytunnel are now the ones that are really worth growing without heat because they have survived.
Yeah.
So we've got the Batanga cherry, we've got the cherry guavas, strawberry guavas. These things are a lot tougher than people ever imagined, and so they're worth growing on. Other things, because there's a pineapple pit in there, which is also gets another layer of plastic over it, the pineapples can be kept in a small area that is kept warm when I've grown them back up again. Because I
Right.
do get some lovely pineapples. The point is, it's like anything, if you really want to grow a good one and put your efforts into it, you can produce much better than you can buy in the shops.
It's my mission also to heat my greenhouses without electricity, as it were. So I always remember on one of the first gardens I walked on, they had a stove house, and they're underground greenhouses with just the lights to get the light in. And they said, and this is up in the East Midlands, quite cold, way colder than you, that they would be frost free. So I've sort of copied that, and I've done mine 60 centimetres below ground. And then I'm trying to think of other ways to heat it. But I mean, I
that
just
would
make...
work for me, except for one thing.
What?
In winter, my water table is 30 centimetres down.
That wouldn't work. My water table's way down.
Do you remember where the wooden statue of the kingfisher is?
Kingfisher, yes.
Yeah, that fills with water in the winter.
Wow, you're very low. So your water table is
My
literally...
water
30, yeah.
table is literally
Mine would
ground
be
level in
way,
winter.
way down. Yeah,
In
but I
winter.
do think stove houses are a good way forward. And
I would
I
have gone
also
there.
then use... I didn't realise that if you have, I think it's something like ½ an inch of polystyrene, it's equivalent in insulation to a 215 brick.
Yeah.
So I then have an inner
But
chamber.
do you know what I've got here, underneath this?
Yeah.
To insulate the ground in the inner polytunnel to the outer one, all the way along, I dug the trench before I put the plastic in,
Yeah.
put the plastic over, and then I dropped in each one a car tyre, squeezed oval and put into a plastic bag,
Yeah.
and then they went in, so that all along here is an actual insulating layer of car tyres with air and rubber.
For their roots.
So it insulates the soil here from the soil in there.
Right, right.
Yeah.
Gosh. Right, so which bit should we look at
Let's
next
go
of your
inside.
garden?
Let's
Yeah,
go
let's go in here. Okay, Bob, so this is your famous interior of your double line polytunnel. And just give us an idea of what we've got here. I can see your abutilon there, which is lovely. Mine grows outside. I'm always amazed how hardy abutulons are. And they'll be flying at Christmas. I love them. Choose a sheltered spot.
It's my favourite. You know the name?
Ashford, is that Ashford?
Nabob.
Nabob, oh yeah,
Of course it's
Nabob. Of
nabob.
course, Nabob, yeah. Yeah.
What it is this is not really for growing things in the summer. This is for getting things through the winter.
Yeah.
That's the whole crucial point. So this citrus, this is a Lisbon lemon, has now got too big for me to move.
I bet it's rooted through to
Oh,
the
I
ground, hasn't it? Well, it hasn't. Why didn't you let it root through to the ground? And
Because
then
I
you
don't
have-
want it to, in case I can. If my son would help me, we can carry it out. It's
Why
just
don't you just prune it? Because they take any amount of pruning. Why don't you just cut it back?
Because it's actually the total weight.
Oh, right,
The
okay.
same goes with this. These used to go out every year, but I don't bother now. Simply
So
because
that would be too hot for it in here in the summer, would it?
Well,
You'd
you can
be-
see, look, it is. It's
not
actually-
happy.
It's not,
Not
happy.
happy,
That's why
yeah.
the other citrus go out, and then they come back for the winter.
You want to get one of those sack wheel things, don't you? And then you could do it on your own. That's what I do. You get sap wheels or a
I have a sack barrow, but
Sack
it's still too big and heavy for.
what's the big one at the end
Which one?
that's hitting the ceiling?
Oh, that's another one of these.
Oh,
Strawberry.
right.
The thing
Strawberry
is, they are
guava.
so delicious and so rich in vitamins that I've got them in the ground and in tubs because that spread the season.
Yeah.
Now I've got them all inside, they're kind of in sync again. But when I used to take them out with the citrus and bring them back in, I spread the fruiting over another couple of weeks.
Right. I think that's lovely. I think we've seen a
Do you know
lot.
this?
That is the vine. Is that
Bacella.
sorry?
It's a bacella. It's a spinach plant from India, and it's self-seeded in here. And
Oh,
I've never.
right.
I've,
And
know,
you're not using the leaves.
Oh, well, I don't like it. I tried it. It's
Bacella.
Bacella. Use it as a spinach or a salading. Try it. It's okay, yeah, but it's not my flavour.
I quite like that. Yeah.
But there's a green one as well as a red one.
Mm.
And again, it's these things that I'm looking for that are easy to grow.
Yeah.
It's self-seeded in here.
Yeah.
That is a hell of an indication. Do you know what I mean? When
Yeah.
something is growing itself,
Yes.
grow more of it. Now, it's not to my taste, but I could get to like it simply because look what it's done. I grew it in a pot, and now suddenly it's self-seeded. That is really important. Right?
Now, I love growing things from seeds that you get from other people. Well, thank you very much indeed, Bob. It's been really nice. And I'll come again, hopefully. We'll do a gardener's question time here again,
Yeah, we should
hopefully.
do. We should do.
Yeah, lovely. Thank you.